Hey, what's up, wrestling world, and welcome to Wrestle Ones, where I'm going to be talking about Vince McMahon, man. So it's nothing too crazy. No more evidence have came out or anything as far as the lawsuits and stuff have came out. But what we're going to talk about is Vince McMahon selling off basically the rest of his stock. And I think it's coming out to about, they say like 750 million. And so, from that point, it's like, once he sell it off, 'cause I don't know if it's been sold yet, but once that's gone, he has no more to do with WWE or TKO. Like, he's completely detached away from that whole company. He has nothing else to do with it. And so this man, he's going to get filthy rich when it comes to what he's going to get off of this deal. Like, it's going to be, it's nuts. I think that will put him at like I think somebody said it, 2.9 something billion dollars, which is insanely like just crazy to think about. But I know the one question that a lot of people, and this is basically what this video is talking about, what a lot of people have been talking about is, what does that mean? Like, is he planning to start up his own wrestling business, his own wrestling fed or whatever? Like, is he, just what is he doing? And so right off the bat, like, if you don't think about it, it could be possible, it could be feasible that he could be wanting to create another wrestling organization. But when you really sit and think about it, it wouldn't even be possible, especially not now. Because when you look at it, money talks, like people say, money talks, but money only talks for so long as we've went through it. Like, Vince McMahon has went through all these years with all the money that he's been having to like make certain things disappear and just kind of like get past certain lawsuits and all that stuff, and he's made it to this point before now his past is starting to catch up to him, and we can only blame that on the money that he has, the resources. And so I think this has damaged his reputation so much to the point where I don't think that there's no recovery. Because if you think for a second, when you really think about it, that there is possible for him to create another wrestling organization, you got to put these factors into it. Yeah, he's going to have the money, and yes, he has friends that could invest and help him build this up and everything else, and then he has the know-how to do it. He knows what needs to be done to make a wrestling organization successful. But the things that people will be looking past, if they agree like, oh yeah, he gonna get this done, is the fact that his reputation is tarnished because of what? Sexual allegations, sexual misbehavior. And so all that factors into it, because it wasn't that long ago, it was Royal Rumble where Slim Jim threatened to pull out if Vince McMahon was still a part of there, in which that same day or the very next day, Vince McMahon resigned. And what did we see when we watched the Royal Rumble? We saw Slim Jim still as a sponsor. So you got to think that had he not resigned, we wouldn't have seen a sponsor for Slim Jim, and then we probably wouldn't have seen sponsors for something else, for other sponsors. Like, it was going to be a domino effect, which was going to affect the business of WWE. And when it affects the business, meaning it's going to affect the money. And so with them being on the high that they are, and they're only climbing, that's one thing that they can't afford to miss out on, is big paydays. And that's why they've made their major deals with Saudi Arabia that they did years ago. I mean, that was when Vince was still there. But also with TKO, they made the deal with Netflix and all that. So, and Universal and all that stuff. But it's like they can't afford to be associated with Vince McMahon. So what they do? They got rid of him, took him off. He's not a part of this no more. Blah blah blah. And we're trying to get rid of him. Like, as much as we can from like old content and everything else, and like blurring him out the game, we're trying to get rid of him. So do you think that any person, any investor that may possibly be good friends with him, that could lend him the money to help him out start a new wrestling organization, you really think that they're going to risk it? Because, like, let's look at this, right? Let's look at all the reasons why it wouldn't work, why it would fail before it even got started. First of all, you know, he has billionaire friends. He has friends with deep pockets. He has people that owe him favors and everything else. We know this. But when it comes to it, no matter how good of friends you are, people have their reputations still intact. People have brands still intact. People have, like, things still intact to where it's not affecting their money. Do you think that they really want to align themselves with Vince McMahon, who has these ongoing allegations and is still being investigated? You think they want him on? They want to like be alongside this man to where if it's something where it's like sponsors involved with their company, they're gonna be like, oh, you're side by side with Vince McMahon. I don't want to do business with you since you're doing business with Vince McMahon. And you're gonna have more and more like that. So, and it's like, maybe they could keep him in the dark. I don't know how long they would be able to do that for, but let's say it's some front runners. Let's say, just for example, like AEW, let's say Vince McMahon was the mastermind behind that, and it's not Tony Khan's father that's giving him money, but they're putting on the facade it's really Vince McMahon supplying him. Like, it's something like that. I don't know how long anything like that could stay hidden, you know, before someone finds out there's a whistleblower, and then everything is all blown to shit, and then we're gonna find Vince McMahon ousted again. But it's going to affect other people. It's just more of like, it's contagious. Not saying that people are going to fall into that line where they're being accused of that, but it's like, if you're associating yourself, you're guilty by association is what I'm getting at. If they're sitting there friends and doing business with Vince McMahon, nobody is really going to want to do business with them. They're going to want to pull out of certain things and everything else, and they're going to be criticized for it because of everything that's been going on with Vince McMahon, the people that came out, the lawsuits, allegations, the investigation still going on. So I can see, even if they're really great friends with Vince and they support him and they believe him and they, like, you know, just got his back, I don't think that they're willing to risk their reputation, their money, their company, their brand in helping this guy who is essentially right now poison. So you're going to have guys that's going to be like, you know, Vince, I love you. I do anything for you. But this one thing, I can't do it. I can't do this for you. This is, I have my family to think about. I have my company. I have this to think about. And I just can't really afford to help you out. And along with that, I don't even have to mention the sponsors, because the sponsors go along with that. You're probably going to have some sponsors that will be willing to do business with Vince McMahon, but overall, you're not going to have like the major sponsors, the big names like a Slim Jim or anything like that, you know. And I'm just putting them out there. I know Slim Jim definitely wouldn't. If they didn't want to do business with WWE, if Vince McMahon was still, like, you know, in the position that he was at the time, I doubt that they're going to like look at him and be like, oh, Vince McMahon own business, oh well, then we're going to support this. But like a company like Slim Jim, definitely goes without saying that they're not going to do it. You're going to find maybe a few sponsors, but it's not going to be like money, financially life-changing for whatever he's doing. And so you can, like I said, you can count out the investors, the friends. You can count out the sponsors. So that's a lot of money that's off the table right off the bat. And then on top of that, you got the talent, the staff. But let's just talk about the talent. You got people that, you know, love Vince, you know, like a John Cena or Undertaker, Brock Lesnar, of course. But you got certain people that have great relationships with Vince. But then you have a lot of people that worked under Vince that only have, I guess you could say, mild as far as their experience, where they had great experiences with him and they had bad experiences with him. And there's a lot of people that don't want to work for Vince, that wouldn't want to work for Vince, that hated how he was doing the whole ripping up the script for Raw like the same day that it was supposed to air, and them having to rewrite because he didn't like it, and just a lot of stuff that he was doing. So a lot of people had bad experiences working for Vince McMahon. So do you think that those people would want to go work for him, even if they got fired from WWE, don't want to go to AEW? Do you think that they would really want to go and work for Vince again? No, they wouldn't. It's a lot of people that would not, that if there was a choice to work under Vince or work Impact or TNA Wrestling, they're probably gonna go to TNA Wrestling, or probably just work the indie circuit. No contract, just floating here, and everything else. They're not gonna be wanting to go to him. And then you got people that probably haven't worked under Vince but heard the horror stories, just like I've heard the horror stories. If you've heard the stories of Vince and everything else, how he was like I'm about to say McMahon, Mick Foley, talking about when he was on commentary, how Vince was yelling in his ear and everything else. It was just like, it's crazy that anybody would want to. So with us hearing the horror stories, you can imagine that there are a lot of wrestlers that are hungry, that would want to work for a big company like an AEW, WWE, and then Vince McMahon, you could come work for me. They're not gonna. They'll be like, nah, man, I heard how it is working under you. I ain't trying to be that way. If you don't like me for some reason, you probably just gonna get rid of me. And then you got to think that if that was to happen, it's not gonna be an open company. It's more than likely gonna be a closed company, as far as like AEW is compared to WWE. How WWE has a board that they have to answer to before any like major decisions, but AEW, the buck stops with freaking Tony Khan. Like, he doesn't have to answer to nobody. He makes the decisions. And so, do you really want to work under a company with Vince McMahon having that power? Just think about that. We already seen that he's out of touch when it comes to the stuff that he's doing, and like the decisions that he's made throughout the years when he was still with WWE. So you're not going to have a lot of people that want to work with him. And then getting to the staff, getting to employees, after hearing all the stuff that happened with Janelle Grant, and then just how he was, like I said, the horror stories. Do you really think that there are people that are going to want to work with him? Do you think that there's going to be a female assistant that wants to work under Vince McMahon? Do you really think that there are people that's going to want to deal with that man? No, they're not. So it's a lot of things that's going against Vince McMahon and the whole idea of him creating a new wrestling organization. It's just not feasible, like financially and just for the reputation of it, because even if he were to get it started, it's not going to last that long. There's a lot of people on top of that they're like, as far as just consumers, and I forgot about that, that's not going to want to support this man. If he has another wrestling organization, I feel like people are going to watch it just to be curious, see who is involved in there, how is it, is there some great stories and shit. But I feel like there's a lot of people that's gonna like, fuck Vince, fuck piece of shit, I ain't about to put money in his pocket. And you damn sure gotta like worry about like what's going on when it comes to like if they're gonna get their stuff put on cable. Are they going to be able to get put on a national network, televised, have a televised show to where they're making money? Or is it just going to be some seem like some house shows that they're going to have to run? Like, it's not going to be WWE right off the bat, even if it were to happen. So it's a lot of things going against it as to why it wouldn't happen. Maybe if, let's say, and this is just hypothetical, if the results of this lawsuit are in his favor and he ends up coming out where he wins, let's just say it was proven that she was lying, blah 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 and all that stuff, his reputation still took a hit. I think it's more of a chance from that point on. But when you have John Laurinaitis basically coming out and saying that like all this shit was true, there's no chance that he's going to come out of this unscathed, and his reputation is like it's tarnished, it's done. You know, he did greatness throughout his career, but he also did a lot of like sleazy, just disgusting things as a human to other humans. And so it's just going to look bad on him, and it's going to carry out through the rest of to the end of his days. So, like, to answer that question, I personally think that it will not happen. People are smart. Billionaires are smart. They're not going to want to do business with him. They're not going to. It's kind of like being around somebody that had COVID when COVID was like when it was the pandemic was happening. It's like being around somebody with COVID. And then you tell somebody that, oh man, I was just around my cousin, man, I think he got COVID. People gonna like, nah, like, get away from me. You know, it's gonna be like that, you know? They don't want the stench of Vince McMahon on them. So there's a lot of people that's gonna be getting away. It's a lot of people that don't want to do business with the person that he is. Like, and even despite the lawsuit, just how the experiences that a lot of people had with him, whether they personally went through it or they just heard the horror stories. It's just a lot going against Vince McMahon. So I think him getting this money is just basically a lot of it is just taking care of this lawsuit, because who knows how long this is going to carry out. So I'm pretty sure that like all the lawyer fees, all the legal fees, everything of that, and then whatever he's going to have to pay off is going to be a huge amount. So he's trying to make sure that he has all that money to take care of all that stuff, because the perception that a lot of people have of these celebrities is that they're getting millions of dollars and all this stuff, that, you know, so they don't have no problem paying this, paying that, and all this stuff. Like, the money is just constantly coming. Like, they got like 20 million sitting up in the bank, and it's just like, it's not like that. It's just like, you know, like regular people, just on a higher scale. They have other people to pay off. They got lawyers, they got accountants, they got assistants, they got agents, managers, they got other people that need to get paid. And then that's on top of bills and all the stuff they got to pay for their house, and, you know, stuff like that. Children, if they got it, you know, all that. So it's like, it's not like they have just an abundance of money. That's why you hear about a lot of these actors going broke, or, you know, filing for bankruptcy and all that stuff, because you can mismanage your millions. You could go through like lawsuits that will claim a lot of your money. Like, it's not just peachy keen. And so when it comes to that, I think that that's one of the main reasons why he's pulling out that money, why he's selling all his stock, why he's trying to get his money up, is so that he knows that he's able to pay off these court fees, the lawyers, and then whatever they're going to settle with, he's able to just pay them off and get it done with. I think that's really, at the end of the day, what it is. Now, what he's going to do after that, we all know that Vince McMahon is a workaholic. We don't know what the fuck he's going to do. I don't think it's going to be another wrestling organization. I don't think that they're going to like try and touch him even with a 20-foot pole. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, those are just my thoughts on the whole thing. I've been making a lot of long videos. I don't be meaning to make these videos long, but those are just my thoughts on it. I hope you guys like what you heard, and if you did, go ahead, give me a like, subscribe if you're not, and hit that notification bell for more videos like this. And I will catch you guys on the next one. So peace out, stay safe, and yeah, Vince is cooked. So don't worry about it. He is cooked.